Today I'm going to show you how to replace the alternator on a Bobcat 463 skid steer loader. Keep watching our video, I'll show you how I do that. Hey, what's up guys? It's Jeff Lepard from DoItAllSealing.com. Today we're going to be replacing the alternator on a Bobcat 463 skid steer loader. So yesterday I was working with the Bobcat and it all of a sudden locked out. I shut it off, tried to start it again, it wouldn't start. All the controls, everything was locked out and all system lights were flashing. So I didn't have my multimeter on me yesterday to test it. So I'm back today. It's crappy weather, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and still try to do the repair. So I'm just gonna start the Bobcat, hopefully it starts, and I'm gonna use my multimeter to take a reading on the battery and seeing how much voltage is going into the battery. So I'm gonna do that right now. So there, it won't start. So I'm gonna have to hook up the battery charger and let it charge for a little bit. Okay, so I've just let it charge for about 20 minutes. Hopefully that's enough juice just to start the Bobcat. Now, if you're thinking that maybe my battery is dead, I know it's not dead. We just replaced that a few weeks ago, and you can see that. Check out our other videos and you see that I replaced the Bobcat battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it, and hopefully we can get it started so that I can measure it and see the voltage with the multimeter. Okay, so I got her started. I'm just going to use this standard multimeter. It's rated for 20 volts, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the positive lead on the positive on the battery, the negative on the negative, and read my voltage. So, if you see the reading, it says 11.39, 11.38. That tells me that it confirms that my alternator is gone. It's dead. A normal voltage for that should be somewhere around 13 to 14 volts. It's less than 12 volts, which is showing, one, the battery's weak, and two, it's not getting a charge. So I can now shut the Bobcat off. I have to go ahead and start proceeding with changing the alternator. Okay, so before we start disassembling the brackets and the alternator, I'm just going to be, for safety first, you are supposed to disconnect the ground cable on the battery, just so that if you have tools and you're working with the positive lead, you don't arc the wires or shock yourself. So first thing to do, we're just going to take the ground cable off the battery, which is right here. Just going to take our little wrench and we're just going to go ahead and loosen that off, and then everything should be fine after that. There we go. Okay, so now that the ground cable is disconnected, now you see a couple cables here. That's nothing important. All it is just my battery charger I have sitting underneath the Bobcat. I just want this battery to start charging while I'm working on it. But the ground cable is disconnected, so it's safe to operate and work on the Bobcat. First thing we're going to do, there's a plug on the back of the alternator. I believe it's a sensor wire, I'm not too sure, but nevertheless, this needs to come off. And then this is your power cable, which is actually going to the battery. So both of these have to come off. This should just clip. This should just unclip. So let's see. Release the clip, and there we go. So I just put the screwdriver in here just so that it comes off the tab. So now this is off, and we're going to pull the grommet here. Okay, and now you're going to expose a bolt, and this is going to be a 10 millimeter. Just going to use this little wrench, and it's on there pretty tight. Just going to loosen that. Okay, once you get it loose, you should be able just to use your finger to get the bolt off, the nut. Okay, there we go, and then that's free. So now the power and like the positive off the back side of the alternator is now free. The only thing left is the ground, which is actually holding the belt on, because that's what you use to adjust, and the bracket. So next, this bolt has to come off. Okay, so next I'm going to use a 1/2-inch wrench to remove the ground wire from the alternator, and also this is responsible for the bracket and the adjustment. This is where you can adjust, pull the alternator towards you away from the Bobcat. That tightens the belt. So, but right now we're just going to remove this. Let's go use this. Okay. If you or someone you know is benefiting from these videos, don't forget to leave a like or put a comment in and let us know. If you have any tips or anything you want to say to us, we respond to all comments, so please leave a comment as well. Okay, so that bolt's off. Next, there's a bolt at the bottom which is hanging on to a tie wrap, and that's just stabilizing the wires here, which also is bolted to the bottom of the bracket and also uses a 1/2-inch. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that. Okay, and that's free as well. Just leave that bolt screwed in here so I don't lose it. Okay, so that's free. We can just put that off to the side. It's not really in our way. So that bolt was hanging onto this nut. I'm just going to loosen it on the other side, and I think that should set the bolt free. Yeah, it's threaded. It's a little tricky to get to, but okay. Okay, it's starting to move. Okay, there's just one more 1/2-inch bolt here, right underneath here. Okay, it's a little tight. Okay. Don't forget to share this video. I really appreciate it, especially if someone you know could benefit from videos like this. Check out our other videos. We do lots of videos like these. Repairs, construction videos, food challenges, vacation videos. So it's pretty interesting. Just have to use the other wrench on the other side to stop it from spinning. And there we go. Okay, so that's off. This is the bracket. Bracket's free. Now I just have to get the bolt off. And this whole alternator is loose now. Okay. And there we go. That's what's holding the alternator in. This whole thing should come right off. There's the bracket. And you'll notice the belt goes around the all the pulleys, so you just need to you know, you can just pretty much turn that and just get that belt off. Sometimes it's better to do it with a screwdriver, so you just spin it, and there you go. That's off. Using a hammer to give it a little tap. There you go. Okay, so it's about 3 hours later, and believe it or not, we've actually got the very same alternator back from the shop, rebuilt. There was a couple different options I had. I either had to choose between buying a new alternator, which was a little bit pricey, or I could have ordered a rebuilt one, or taken the same one back and got that rebuild, which of course was actually the cheaper method. This was actually, it only cost me about $130 to get it rebuilt, and there's a 1-year warranty on this, so that should do. That should be fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open up the bag, and we're gonna start assembling it back. Okay, so same thing when we're putting it back. We're just gonna put everything back in reverse order now. And I've got my WD-40 just to spray the bolts as I start assembling that, just to make it a little easier. Well, first thing I just got to line up the alternator over the housing here. Okay, so now that we got the alternator on the housing, we're going to put the bolt and nut through. But before we do that, we have to put the bracket on first, because the bolt actually comes out through the bracket. So we're just going to fit the bracket on. Okay, and that just goes over. Okay, it's on both sides of the hole, so I'm just going to feed the bolt through. Okay. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw it just so the bolt, the nut is on, but I'm not going to tighten it all the way just because I still need movement, so that I'm going to adjust the alternator for the belt. And I'm actually going to do that right now before I put this bolt in. So I'm just going to push the protecting cover down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed the belt, at least loop it around the wheel of the alternator here. So I'm just making sure the belt is around the pulleys. There's 2 pulleys and then the alternator. So sometimes it's easy to go on just as this. You can just snap it. If it's not, you can always use a screwdriver or something like that and just guide the belt over. So once that's on, that's fine. So you can see the tension that we're gonna have to put on here after. So right now I'm just gonna get the bolt through here. Okay, so use a little bit of WD-40. Okay, so we're gonna put our cover back, because the bolt's actually going through that. And it's threaded, so we have to start screwing it. WD-40 just give you a little extra hand to makes it easier to turn. Okay, I'm just going to hand tighten it. Okay, so now I'm just going to get the nut around here. Just going to give it a little dab of WD-40. So now we've got, it's still loose, but we have our bolt, our stud bolt through here, the bottom, and we got the bolts through the top, and we can still adjust it. So now I'm going to, these are the 2 main bolts that are going to secure the alternator, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten them right now. So starting by the top bolt, which I was just on, I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and tight by also applying some pressure back to make sure that the belt is nice and tight. First I'm going to tighten the bolt through the threads, and it's getting tight now. Hand tight, you don't have to go cranking. Last thing you want to do is strip it. That wouldn't be good. So next I'm going to just put my wrench over the back, and I'm just going to go ahead and tighten the bolt here. Double check, make sure you have some pressure. Okay. like that. Okay, so that's not moving. So now I'm going to tighten up the bottom bolt as well. Just get my wrench on the back and then go ahead and use the ratchet here to tighten it. There we go. Okay, the alternator is now secure. The next things to do is just to connect the wires, the wire harness that's hanging on to the grommet here. We're just going to go ahead and connect that to the frame as well. So I might as well just do that right now. It's a simple bolt that's right here. And I'll give it a little spray. Again, not too tight, just hand tight. So now your wire harness is secure. Okay. All right, so next we have to reconnect the positive lead to the alternator, and we've got a fresh bolt here. I'm just going to use this one. So we're just going to peel back this grommet, and it's always good to check the actual connector to make sure that it's not corroded or anything with rust on it, and this one's good, so I can just connect that right back. Just going to loop that, put the loop through the bolt, through the threaded bolt, and tighten the nut for now. Okay, so there, and just a hand tight, and that's good. Put the grommet back, and then we had our plug. I'm just going to go ahead and push that in. That should just clip right in at the back. Just double check to make sure it doesn't come out. Okay, the wire's secure. This is good. The alternator's now in. The belt is tight. It's around everything. Now the last thing to do is just to connect the ground wire back to the battery, and then we're going to give it a start test and check with the multimeter to make sure we're getting proper voltage. Okay, so the last thing to do is just to connect the negative battery terminal back onto the battery. It's nice and snug. Just make sure the terminal doesn't move. And there we go. Okay, but last but not least, just need to start the Bobcat, get it going, and I'm just going to use the multimeter once again to read the voltage to make sure that we have proper voltage. So before we had a voltage reading of 10 something, now we have 13.37, which shows anything more than 12 volts is charging the battery. So we're going to let this run a little bit. Everything's working great. So I just want to thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Check out our other videos. And see you next time at doitallsealing.com. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.